Chiclets fans, huge announcement. We have all new merchandise available right now on barstoolsports.com/chiclets. We have nice UNR sweaters like that. Plenty of brand new, gorgeous merchandise. Check it out.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to episode 406 of Spittin Chiclets, presented by Pink Whitney. From our friends at New Amsterdam Vodka here in the Barstool Sports podcast family. What's going on, everybody? We are one show away from getting the band all back together next week, but we got one more interview-only show, but a little chatter as well. Let's check in with the boys today. Producer Mikey Grinelli, what's shaking, my man?
Gentlemen, how are we? Self-care September, still going strong. I opted not to go to Miami this past weekend, as we talked about last show. Decided to go get a facial in New York City for the first time ever. Never got a facial before. Skin is just glowing right now. I do feel like I got a little robbed. I feel like I paid some lady $500 to just pop my pimples for 2 hours.
To give her a face? I'm sorry. We said facial. I got confused. I was thinking Bizway.
But my skin feels great right now. Other than that, easy time to not drink in New York City. It's Fashion Week, so there are so many wannabe influencers everywhere you look. I would say that Fashion Week is NYC Super Bowl week, just celebrities everywhere you look. City is buzzing, but not in a buzzing good way. Like I prefer like Rangers and Eastern Conference Finals type buzzing, not like celebrities everywhere because it's Fashion Week. So long story short, I'm doing fantastic, boys. Self-care September still going strong.
Wow, the cigarettes and cocaine will be flying up the shelves down there for Fashion Week this week in Manhattan. Next up, our boy from across the pond in Sweden, Matt Murley. What's going on, Merles, my man?
Same thing. Self-care September. I'm on 16 days dry. Yeah, crazy. I was starting to get the itch, and NFL Sunday, I always like to pop a few cold ones, watch the games, make some wings. But then the assault me and Grinnell took from the Pink Whitney social media account, where
so bad
that she gives me the bottle. I was the same height as I was with. And I said, oh God, I'm off the sauce. I'm off the desserts. I'm going to try to drop 10 pounds before Pittsburgh. And, maybe I can move up to the Biz size bottle or the Wit size bottle.
Well, Merles, the worst part about that is everyone I'd show it to, they'd be like, oh, is that wrench size? Are you guys talking wrench size? And I'm like,
no,
fuck.
I didn't even think about that.
If you look at every comment, it was about, they were all commenting wrench size. And I'm like, Jesus. Like, I thought it was just like height, you know what I mean? Or, importance of when people talk on the show. But then I get all the wrench comments and I'm like, Jesus, this is just not a good look for me. Completely sewered.
So I should feel pretty good then. I didn't even think that bad, but good weekend. Played with the kid on the playground. I watched so much football. I watched the Champions Hockey League all day, and then the college football Saturday, the NFL all day Sunday. What a weekend.
Doesn't get any better than that, Merles.
No, good, awesome stuff. We'll get to the gambling in a sec. We're talking about the Pink Whitney with the little social media. We also have to remind you that the summer's over, man. Summer's over, unfortunately, but that doesn't mean you can't have to stop enjoying the Pink Whitney. The birdie juice is still flowing. It means you just have to enjoy some football to go along with your Pink Whitney now. Hockey's a little around the block, so football, whether it's college, pro, grab a chilled shot, mix a club soda, however you like your Pink Whitney, get at it. Hit your local bar, grab some. Go to your local liquor store, grab some. Just get that smooth, refreshing Pink Whitney. Merles, how much you have at your house over in Sweden? Do you get it shipped over? Can you get it over there? The Pink Whitney?
Usually on each one of our nice Chiclets trip, I usually sneak a bottle back into the suitcase. When I'm traveling with the family, I think I've talked about it before. I'm low man on the totem pole. The kids' toys and clothes go first, then the wife's clothes, and then you got to have 50 pounds in each bag, and there's only a few pounds left, so I get a couple shirts or something like this nice Chiclets shirt made at this trip.
You're definitely bringing the nips, and they're definitely all gone by the time you get off the airplane, because those are the airplane size. You're bringing those right on the plane, and I know with a little kid, you're pounding those things on the plane.
No, I'm telling you, a rookie move would be drinking on the plane with the kid, because it's a coin toss if she's going to sleep or not. And if she's not sleeping, you do not want to be hungover when you land in the morning. It's a nightmare already.
Yeah, Merles, there was, I don't know if it was a viral tweet or whatever, but somebody was flying and they tweeted, somebody had their bulldog on their plane, pretending that they need their animal to fly, whatever. The dog shit itself, had the diarrhea. It had shit all over the plane. And then the dog like went missing. So imagine being on a fucking capsule of an airplane, a tin capsule in the air, and this dog fucking sprays ass everywhere. It's all over the place, and then it disappears, and people are puking and getting sick. And
I saw that. All right, he was covered in shit too. The dog was covered in shit, running up and down the aisles. You know, and I know this comes up all the time, gear grind and all that stuff. It's not about me getting my gears grinded. It's about we're fucking people. We're not animals. We're above them. We could fly with them on our own fucking planes with them, but you don't bring animals on a spot like that where this happens, man. Again, I always go to the allergy thing. People are allergic to dogs, or maybe they're afraid of them, or maybe they were bitten by one, and you just accommodate this one fucking person, and you fucking everybody else up. 40 people. I don't understand how that helps society at all. I get it. I know some people have, and I'm not talking about, again, ADA dogs or therapy dogs. That's not what I'm talking about. I'm just talking about people who don't want to put their dog underneath, and I get that. But when this shit happens, literally, figuratively, it's a joke, man. It's like, we're people. We're not animals, man. We kind of run the show. Like, stop fucking letting animals dictate our flights. It's fucking all right, you asking for your money back if that happened to you? The dog running up and down the aisles with shit?
I'd have my own fucking PJ. I'll park in front of my house if I got shit on by a dog on an airplane. Yeah, sure. Good luck suing there. But yeah, it's flying. Actually, I just flew back from Charleston, South Carolina. I was down there. I mentioned it last week. I can't talk too much about the movie, but it's a hockey related movie. I went down Charleston last Sunday. I filmed scenes all day, long days on set. It was at a rink down there. By the way, Charleston Ice Palace, phenomenal facility. Obviously, not a ton of rinks down in South Carolina, the Carolina area. They got 2 awesome rinks, and there's a bar, a legit bar restaurant inside the place. So if your kid's skating to practice or a beer league, whatever, like there's a legit whole bar in this place.
Phenomenal. Hey, Merles, those were always the best, huh? Like I always think of my dad when we'd play on the road and there was a bar in the rink. You never see your dad on the glass giving you the skate faster sign. You don't see your dad, your buddy's dad, who's usually yelling at the ref. They're all up at the bar. They're getting hammered. Those are the best rinks out there.
The rink I worked at in Rochester when I first started with you guys, Rochester Ice Center had a bar right in the middle of them, and every Monday night I had a coaches meeting up there. I had skills work 7 to 9 with the guys, the wife. Then I tell the wife, it's coaches meeting 9 to 11, and it was great. Sit up there, have some beers, watch another practice, watch a men's league. If you don't have a bar in the rink, you're doing it wrong.
All right. How is South Carolina, though? Like, can you tell us any of the big names that were in the video? I mean, in the film? Like, tell us about it.
No, I can't. I mean, I was asked not to share too much other than to say it's a hockey adjacent movie. It's not going to be out this year, probably sometime, after they've done film and post-production. Sometime next year, it'll be released. But yeah, it was fun, man. It was a lot of improv. Like, I originally was supposed to play. Well, they wanted me to play a referee, and I told them, I'll kill any credibility the movie's trying to have if you have me a referee, because I can't skate for shit. Like, it would just kill credibility. So like, all right, you could be the Zamboni driver. So I think I sent a picture to the group, me sitting on the Zamboni. I got a Zamboni lesson. Like, I didn't put a whole thing down, but like I was wheeling around ripping donuts on the Zamboni in the middle of the rink and shit. So it was fun. Like, we're filming the scenes and I'd get cute and like, I'd have to come on and drive the Zamboni and yell at people and shit. So I had a ton of fun, man. I was on the set like 3 days in a row, 12 days, like 12 hours a day. It was fun to get that experience. I mean, not that I'm a set veteran or anything, but just to be able to collaborate and work with other people. And, I basically was getting paid to like roast guys at the end of the day. I don't want to say too much more, but so I don't want
to keep grilling you with questions, but are you once again playing yourself?
No.
Or are you a character now?
No, I'm not playing RA. Because there was a point when someone else was filming, like, what do I call you? I'm like, this isn't Shorzy where I'm playing, whatever heightened version of myself or a steroided version of myself. This is me. I was just the grumpy Zamboni driver. So
when you're on set, you were asking the guys to call you the name of your character?
No, man, I'm not like I'm not like, nah, what are you gonna name? Val Kilmer method actor over here. No. I mean, people call me RA anyways, but no, but the role I was playing was the Zamboni driver. He didn't actually have a name in the script. He was just Zamboni driver, and he was pissed off. Basically he just wanted to get home and finish the night. That's about the most I could say, but it was awesome. But the thing was, I was Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. I was there for 3-4 days. I hadn't seen the ocean yet. I hadn't seen a restaurant yet because the set days are long. I'm not complaining. That's what I was there for. So my pal, Robbie Kincannon, who's the president of the South Carolina Stingrays, Boston legend, won an 89 state title, Don Bosco, just a well-loved, well-known legendary guy from Dorchester. He's been down there for 25 years. He played for the Stingrays, worked his way up to president. And he said, RA, I'll extend your room for a couple of days. We'd love to have you at our Fan Fest Saturday. I says, no brainer. Absolutely, Robbie. I want to hang out and see the place and see you. So I got to catch up with him. We went to a couple restaurants downtown.
How's the fan base, RA? Like, did they get a bunch of people at this fan fest?
Dude, yeah, they had a real good turnout at the fan fest. But I'll tell you, even when we were filming the scenes during the week, there was a lot of fathers taking their kids to practice. Like, kids who are probably shouldn't be listening to Spittin Chiclets though. That young, huge fucking dad fans. All kinds of the dads were coming up saying hello. A shitload of the parents were big fans for there because, like I said, the kids were probably too young to probably listen to it. So finally Thursday, Friday, I went down 167 Raw. I ate half the ocean, Homer Simpson style, all kinds of seafood. Then I went to Lewis Barbecue. I mean, if I lived down there, I would have to limit myself to how much barbecue I would eat because it's so goddamn good down there. So, Thursday, Friday, I got to see a whole bunch of the area, the beach, go down to the Battery, see the Civil War cannons, all these old beautiful houses. And I'll tell you, man, Charleston, awesome town. Everybody, I would say I talked to that was from somewhere else. People resettle there. They go there to visit. They fall in love with the place. I mean, David Krejci got a place there. Other players have houses down there. And I could see why, man. It's a beautiful spot. It's not too expensive yet. The weather's great, and it's just the restaurants, the scenery, phenomenal town, man. Charleston, I salute. I take my hat off, but my headphones will come off. I salute Charleston and everything it offered. It was awesome.
I gotta ask, you guys have both been all around, the United States. Where would you guys say has the best barbecue? Because I'm a huge barbecue guy as well. I'll save my answer for last.
My favorite spot is the Dinosaur. It's probably the first place I ever had. It started in Syracuse and Rochester, and I know it's not the Kansas City or like these other ones you hear about, but they brought one to Troy, New York, my hometown, and I got to give Dinosaur the shout out here.
Yep, your bread's butted. I like St. Louis. When I was in St. Louis, I got some St. Louis barbecue. I never really had Texas.
Mine too, RA. That's mine too.
But I will say the Carolina stuff was awesome. I never had collard greens before. Shocker, Irish guy in Boston never had collard greens before, but I had a couple times under there. Phenomenal, man. I don't know if you ever had them. Super good. But yeah, I would say a tie between St. Louis and Carolina. I never really had Texas barbecue, so don't yell at me, Texas.
I've had Texas barbecue as well. When I went down for the Super Bowl a couple of years ago, I went in Houston and it was incredible. But RA, knew what I was just thinking about? It's funny. Remember when we went to Nashville in 2017 and we went and did some food reviews at a couple barbecue places around the city where I filmed it on my GoPro? I'd love to find that and see if we can still post it or something.
Wow, that was not a solo venture. Me and G said, fuck it. We asked if they'd send us. They said nope. We said, all right, well, we're going anyways. We got hooked up with the game. Unnamed person got us into both games for nothing. So that was an all-time classic. Chiclet strip G, one of my favorite ones all the time. A couple more notes here before we get to our guest, and we got a great guest today. Bernie Nicholls averaged more than a point per game in the 80s, 90s, played with Gretzky in LA, played with tons of guys all over the place. A superstar from that era and a great guy too. I think you're going to enjoy that interview. Let's see what else we got going on. The Pittsburgh show. Shout out Pittsburgh. You Yinzes sold us out in about 5 minutes. I'm not surprised at all. We love you guys. Gee, what's the latest on the Pittsburgh show?
The latest on the Pittsburgh show is it's sold out. I've been hearing some rumors that some more tickets could go on sale. I won't give out any more info than that. All I'll say is follow along the Chiclet social channels, and I'm sure there'll be an announcement soon about some more tickets. But 8 minutes. I mean, how insane is that? 800 tickets in 8 minutes. It's our fans are the most loyal, best fans in the entire world. I cannot wait to get to Pittsburgh. I can't wait to try Permanente Brothers. I'm very excited.
Yeah, I'm fired up too, man. My first time there in 14 years. Definitely looking forward to it. Merles, we mentioned the NFL earlier. How'd you do on the week? Did you get a little comeback? I know we were texting late last night, early this morning.
I took some horrible beats yesterday. These coaches, I don't know how they get into this job and they don't know how to deal with the clock.
Brutal.
It was unbelievable. It was at the Pittsburgh game. I had a live money line when they were down, so it was like plus 260. Cincinnati was going to punt the ball away, and all they had to do was just run there were 16 seconds left on the play clock. If you just run it down and then you just punt it anyway, you give them like 10 seconds to come back. Nope, he punts it right away anyway, and they end up coming down. And that's after the guy missed too easy, an extra point and a chip shot field goal. So that was brutal. But I had a good weekend. My buddy Miggs, you guys know from Vegas, he came to me late Saturday night with Kentucky money line. It was plus 185 or something, and that settled me up for the weekend.
Yeah, I was not having the best weekend, but I had Mike Evans. I gave it out on Twitter over 65.5 yards. He got it on that second to last catch, got 66, and then I had him first touchdown plus 750. I had a couple
Dude, you
bucks on
crushed
that.
the player props, RA, in the NFL.
Yeah.
You kill the player
Yeah.
props.
Well, like I always say, I never text you when they lose. I don't text you when they lose.
True.
I only
Very
text you the
true.
winners. But yeah, I had a monster night basically on Mike Evans. That was my biggest bet. I had Tampa as well. So I don't know. Hopefully we can keep it rolling heading into Monday night. And also, Merles, the Swedish pucks are picking up too. You're gonna have some winners for us or what?
Yeah, all the European leagues getting going this week, all the domestic leagues. I took some heat on Twitter because of how I ranked some of them last week, like spur of the moment. And I forgot the Czech league. Oh God, I forgot the Czechs, the fabulous league it is. Yeah, the Czech league would rank, above the German league. All right, I'll give you guys that, but you're still below the Swedes. Finnish league is starting Tuesday, and a great prop on the Barstool Sportsbook. This guy Ojamaki to lead the league in goals, plus 650. He was the guy that was in the KHL last year. He scored 40 goals. He'll score 40 goals probably in this league. Swiss and Czech get going. Swiss Wednesday, Czech Thursday, German Thursday, and the best league of all, the Swedish league, will start Saturday. My team Timrå is in action. It's an away game, so I won't be boots on the ground, but I have a huge play on that game. Timrå, Frölunda, over 5.5, minus 120. Get it now. Timrå's got some studs. They brought in Dahlin back from San Jose.
Yeah, they just added someone, right?
Yeah, Dahlin, that was on the first unit power play in San Jose last year. They got two other guys that were in the KHL that came home. Anton Lander, who played for Edmonton Oilers. He's back home. So we got a squad. We got some scorers. So over 5.5 Saturday afternoon. It'll be 9:30 your time, G.
Love it. I love it. All right, boys. Any final notes before we send it over to Bernie Nicholls or what? We're good? All right. Well, big thanks to Bernie Nicholls for sitting down with us a little while ago to chat. Like I said, it's a great interview. Hopefully you guys enjoy it. Want to let you know that his interview is brought to you by Sling TV. Sling TV has something for everyone. All your favorite shows on your favorite channels, all right at your fingertips. What you watch is up to you. It really just depends on what kind of a mood you're in. So if you're looking for sports, Sling's got you covered with pro and college football and basketball, baseball, hockey, soccer, golf, racing, and so much more. Sling also has reality TV, so you can keep up with the latest gossip with today's hottest shows on channels like TLC, Bravo, MTV, and a whole bunch more. You feeling adventurous? Explore thousands of movies and shows on demand. So what kind of mood are you in? No matter what your answer, Sling has what you need. And getting Sling is easy. You sign up and start watching in just 5 minutes. You can stream on any device and record up to 50 hours with included DVR space. And the best part is you can pause or customize your subscription at any time. So check out sling.com/Barstool for special offers. Sling, the live TV you love for a price you'll love. And now, enjoy Bernie Nicholls. It's a pleasure to bring on today's guest. This center was taken by LA in the 4th round of the 1980 draft, and he played 18 NHL seasons for 6 teams. He averaged over a point per game in the regular season, and in 1,245 regular season and playoff games, he put up 1,323 points. He's one of just 8 players to score 70 goals in a season, and one of just 5 guys to put up 150 points in a season. Thanks so much for joining us on the Spittin Chiclets podcast, Bernie Nicholls. How's it going, Bernie?
It's going good, guys. How you guys doing?
Doing good, doing good. What are you up to these days?
Well, I'm actually taking Marty McSorty fishing tonight.
Oh, boy.
Yeah. Marty's up here. I'm back home in Canada, and Marty's up for a week or so he wanted me to take him fishing. So we're heading out there today.
Is that a regular thing for you? You big fisherman?
Well, I love hunting better, but I do love to fish too. Yeah.
Is it true that Marty was a little bit more famous than Wayne when he was in LA? He was more the town mayor and really knew all the bars and places to hit up?
Oh, he did. Marty, and you know Marty's amazing no matter where you go. And I said this the other day to somebody that if you're playing an event, any kind of charity event, and you got your choice to play with Marty or Gretz, you take Marty all the time because the stories Marty tells, the fun he has. Marty, he could be mayor in LA before long.
Where he's going fishing exactly? Like a small lake, big one?
No, it's a pretty good sized lake. It's called Havelock Lake. It's great for lake trout. His boy has never caught a fish before, or at least a decent one. So there's a great chance. If you want to catch a fish, we take you up there and we'll probably catch 8 or 10 tonight, no problem.
Well, you're from Halliburton, Ontario, correct? Was that where you learned to hunt? Like, what is it so much about hunting that you enjoy?
You know what? I was brought up with it ever since I was a kid. And, for people who haven't hunted, I think they don't understand what we go through, right? Like, it's time spent in the bush. I would always go, when I came home here, every time I went moose hunting, I'd take my dad or my brothers. And it's just time spent with family. And most people think about hunting, they think it's just killing, right? They don't understand it. I eat everything I shoot. But I've been to Alaska, to the Yukon, Quebec, and, it's just, you get away and it's quiet. And then obviously trying to track a moose or a deer, just what it takes the patience and stuff to get one. It's pretty cool.
I play with Damon Lankow, and he ended up going on some crazy trip to New Zealand. So you enjoy, are you going to plan on any other crazy trips around the world, or maybe some places that you haven't been yet that you want to go?
As far as that, I would never shoot. I would never go to I'd like to go to Africa just to see them, but I would never shoot a lion or an elephant or something like that. I'm more into just what I would eat, so elk around here or out, whitetail, moose. Moose is my favorite.
Yeah, what's moose taste like? What is that like?
Yeah, moose is good. Wild meat isn't as gamey now as it used to be. And what a lot of people, bear is a sweet tasting meat.
Shit.
And if I was telling someone we're having bear tonight, they're going, no, I don't think so, right? But if you don't tell them what it is and they eat it, because if you think about a bear, right, if you open up a bear, you get berries and choke cherries and grass. Like, there's nothing bad in there, right? So they're as good a taste of wild meat as any of them.
Wow. And are you mostly rifle, or are you with the bow and arrow as well?
I'm strictly bow now. I used to, as a kid, that's how I grew up. But then I went to a bow, and I'll never handle a gun again as far as that goes. If I'm hunting, it's strictly bow. Obviously, you got to get it in a lot closer, but that's the fun of it too, right? So bow to me, and for anybody who's hunted actually with a gun, I always tell them, just go shoot a bow. And especially for an athlete, right, that the patience you need to play and stuff, just
the hand-eye
strategy goes into it, the hand-eye. When you shoot a bow, you would never go back to a gun.
So the only reason I asked, one thing is, when you mentioned moose, I didn't even know, can you kill a moose with a bow?
Absolutely.
Wow, you got to have a good shot, though. Those things are beasts.
Yeah, I got a couple on the wall right here that I shot with my bow. First one I ever shot. And the thing is, the best time to hunt them is when they're in the rut. They're a little crazy. They'd sooner fight than fight, but you get them coming in. I had one coming in to me, and I got him at 8 yards.
Wow.
Like, coming in, he was looking for the bull to fight, but he ran into an arrow instead, and that didn't do him very well.
Yeah, with my accuracy, I have to do it.
Yeah, this guy had 70 goals. Biz would be hitting the tree.
No, I'd be using a grenade.
Blow yourself up. Was that the closest call you had? Where you say, you got to get close with a bow and arrow. You must have some close calls with other animals, huh?
Yeah, I've had a moose in 5 yards one time.
Wow.
But he was right in front of me, so I couldn't shoot because when you shoot them, they run straight wherever they're facing, and I had to wait till he turned. But deer you get in 15, 20 yards. Moose I've had 10, 8, 15 yards coming in, and it's pretty cool when you get them in that, because they're coming in and they try to put on display for the female, thinking there's a female there. They tear up trees and just they go pretty crazy at times. So you get pretty excited when you got one coming.
Would you say bear is the most underrated cut of meat out there?
I would. Absolutely. For anybody who's ever tried, and it's got to be done right too, right? Like sometimes, but you can never eat a meat the same time you shoot it. You got to, go let it hang for a little bit and age, and then it's done upright. So, if it's done right, it's pretty good. Elk tenderloin's not bad, but moose and deer, they're all the same. They're really good, but I just think bear would be a little underrated.
We'll talk about a business venture after the podcast. Maybe moose meat, moose knuckle jerky or something. Maybe get some.
I make jerky all the time out of it. Absolutely, and we make sausages and You'd like it, bud.
Well, this has been a good tee-up, but obviously the reason we got you on, incredible career. I mean, over 1,200 points. We mentioned that you grew up in Halliburton. When did you fall in love with the game? Who introduced it to you, and how did this amazing career begin?
Well, my dad did, but I think for any Canadian kid, hockey's all we ever did, right? Ever since, I think I skated when I was 3, played my first game when I was 5, and from 5 years on, all you're thinking is you're going to play in the NHL someday, right? That's all we know. So, but my dad was a great player himself. But yeah, we had a well, up here we're fortunate because we could skate on the lakes all the time. We had an arena it was an outdoor ice where we skate right at our community center where we're at. So, that's all I did as a kid, and that's all I dreamt about doing is playing in the NHL.
You mentioned your brothers. Were they older or younger? So I'm guessing there's just a bunch of Nicholls boys beating the shit out of each other playing all winter.
Right. Well, I have 2, but they're both younger.
Okay.
My one played. I actually got him to come to a LA Kings camp one time, but he had more determination than skill, so it didn't work out. My younger brother. And I didn't get really to see him play because I was gone, but he had more skill than any of us, he said. But he had the skill, not the determination, When he went and played junior, and he was offered a scholarship anywhere he wanted to go. And he said, no, I'm going home to go hunting and fishing. So,
Wow.
And I tried to tell him, I said, bud, the NHL life's not that bad, right? We can always come back and go hunting later. So, but he opted for that.
Well,
but
good thing you got a mix of both.
Yeah.
That's right. That's right.
Bernie, I know you got drafted after your first year in juniors. Now, I read an old quote. You didn't even know LA had a team at the time. Is that true?
Well, what's funny is where I grew up, my hometown's 75 people.
Wow.
And we had two channels growing up. And we could obviously get Toronto Maple Leafs, Hockey Night in Canada Saturday night, sometime Montreal, but it was always Toronto. And I didn't really know. Same today. Like anybody in the East Coast, they don't watch a West Coast game or anything, right? So when I get drafted, I didn't really know they had a team. That's right.
Yeah, I want to jump back to your Show HL days for the Kingston Frontenacs and
the Canadians?
Canadian. Well, now they're the Frontenacs, but you held all the records to recently. And
yeah.
And I know Shane Wright broke all those records, but I have another story that you still hold a record for the way you used to show up to their games, or your games actually.
In a fur coat.
Oh,
yeah, part of it.
Back then?
Yeah, like a sports car, fur coat, almost like Billy Madison showing up back to high school.
Oh, my goodness.
Yeah. So where I lived, my billets had a fur store and a drive-in movie theater. So I would work at the fur store, and he gave me a full-length wolf coat. So I would I'd make the odd appearance at the games with that thing on.
Did you have to take it off when you were in LA though? Because Wayne was the guy wearing the fur, wasn't he?
Well, you know what? When I went and turned pro, I actually bought an otter, a full-length otter coat, and it made a couple road trips to Winnipeg and stuff. But then I had to retire that thing.
We didn't get to your rookie year, man, 81, 82. You started off in New Haven. Talk about a hell of a commute, New Haven to L.A. What was it like when you first get there? I mean, you said you're small-town Canada, your palm trees, you're on the beach. It must have been a huge culture shock, but in a good way, I'm supposing.
No, absolutely. I never forget flying in, and used to fly right in over the Forum then, and Hollywood Park Racetrack, which I spent some time there too. But yeah, you're going in, it's palm trees. Like I said, I grew up with 75 people here in my hometown. We had one store, one restaurant, and that was it. So going into there, it was actually pretty cool, right? Being a small town boy, like just to go there and to see California was pretty neat. Warm weather.
What was the fan base like then? Because it's before the true explosion and obviously the success the Kings have gone on to have. But were the fans, were they rabid? Were they at a lot of games? Like, what do you remember about the beginning of that?
You know what we had, and obviously before Gretzky came, we probably had 9,000 or 10,000 season seat holders. When Oilers come in, or maybe the Islanders at the time would come in, we would sell out. But I remember we had a playoff game. This is in early 80s. And I went and ate at a little restaurant before for pregame. And I'm asking people, I says, you know if there's anything going on here tonight that I can go watch or anything? And not a chance in hell. The people around that area knew there was a hockey game going on, a play game. But yeah. So that was pretty.
You talked about the Gretzky effect. From my understanding, did you guys really not get along when you guys played against each other, and you guys would josh actually quite a bit when you guys were playing?
No, we got along great. No. The problem is our first year, right? We meet them in the playoffs, and they're so good, obviously, right? And the Kings. That's the year we. Miracle in Manchester, we're down 5-0 with like 12 minutes to go in the third period, and Gary Unger took a high sticking penalty. We actually come back and beat him overtime. And the funny thing was, after Game 4, our owner, we didn't even have a plane because we weren't even supposed to be there to go back to Edmonton for Game 5, and so we chartered a plane with Edmonton. They were in the back of the plane. We were in the front of the plane. Right?
No way.
Oh, yeah. But it was the first 2 games up there. So first game in Edmonton, we beat them 10-8. Second game, we lose 3-2 in overtime. Gretz scores the overtime goal, right? So I'm sitting in my stall with one of the players. The press is just in there. And I gave it the old fucking Gretzky scores, like that, like to one of my guys, like that, just didn't mean like the way it came out, just you're pissed, right? I was devastated because I would never say that to Gretz, right? Like, obviously I didn't know him. That was my first year, but Gretz is Gretz. Everybody loves Gretz regardless, right? So I was devastated. And obviously he wasn't very happy either. But after the when we end up beating them in the line, I talked to him and I just said, Gretz, look, I didn't say that. Like, that's not, I was just pissed. I just said what I said, but he was good with it. And obviously having the opportunity to play with them, it was just the best ever, right?
Brent, looking at that box score from that game, you had 21 penalty minutes that game, huh? What'd you get?
The Miracle in Manchester
The Miracle
game?
in Manchester game, yeah. 21.
I'm in the penalty box for when we scored the overtime goal. I was just dumb. Dave Lumley was just being an idiot with me, and I was biting. I was fighting him back. Like, why I would ever be, hooked up with Dave Lumley, fourth line player, doing his job, trying to get me off the ice. Well, he did. Yeah, I didn't. I did a lot of watching that night.
Now, did Dr. Jerry Buss, did he own the team at the time when you said the owner?
Jerry owned the team, and the great thing was, because you never played Neil Form, right?
No. I'm not that old, buddy.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, but so back then used to have, our bench was here, and there was like a little box with like, and it was the owner's box. There was like 8 seats or something, and then the other team, right? And so we come out for the third period, and Jerry's gone. He's out. And so we come back and win, and I don't know where he is, but that was funny at the time, just because he bailed on us.
He was balls deep somewhere.
He left with his harem.
Yeah, that's right.
Well,
Yeah, well, that's what before Biz became best friends with 99. I know you guys were best friends, and you both would go to lunch together every day to a very interesting spot. Can you tell us about that?
Yeah, and Marty, we talked about that the other night at dinner at Marty's. Like, and I think still to this day, he loves McDonald's, right? And every day, Culver City, our practice rank, 200 yards up the road is McDonald's. And after practice, Gretz says, Bern, let's go to lunch. And just like Gretz says, let's go to dinner. Absolutely.
You say yes every time. I've never said no to him one time.
Before he gets it out of his mouth, yep, let's go. And it's McDonald's. Every day, McDonald's. And Gretz loved McDonald's. And I don't think I've had McDonald's since, to be honest with you. Like, but you're going to go, right?
What was he getting? The filet of fish?
Getting the Happy Meal?
Oh no, he's getting the Big Mac. He's getting the fries. He's getting the Coke, Diet Coke. Oh yeah, Gretz hit it hard.
No, I want to go back to the summer of '88. Now you guys find out this Gretzky trade's happening. That come out of nowhere. It was like an atomic bomb. What was the locker room like? What was the reaction for the team, man? It must have been insane.
Yeah, I found out, and I called Bruce McNall right away because I'm not thinking like. I heard we got Gretzky, and I'm at an event in that celebrity golf event up in Tahoe, and someone told me that, and I bullshit, right? Like no chance. And I was good friends with Bruce McNall, so I called Bruce right away, and he says, "Yeah, we just got Gretz."
Oh my god!
And I went, "You fucking kidding me? Like no way, right?" So that was awesome. Like, and I've said this different times, like. I got to play with that guy for just a year and a half, and I couldn't imagine what it would be like to play with him for 5-10 years, you know? And what I tell people too, and I've asked a couple of guys from Edmonton, I don't know what it was, but I was Gretz's guy. I hung with Gretz every day. Every road trip, it was him and I went out. Nobody else, him and I. And it was awesome, obviously, you know? So I could not imagine what it'd be like to play with that guy for 5-10 years.
And that season, like RA mentioned, I mean, you had 70 goals, one of 8 players, 150 points, one of only 5 guys to ever do it. And were you not even on his line with 5-on-5? You just played power play with him, right?
And we killed penalties. I had 8 shorthanded goals that year. Gretz and I killed penalties together. But what I loved about Gretz, right, and I've never heard this before, but you probably wouldn't either, but so Gretz is centerman, I'm a centerman, but whenever Gretz is up, I got first guy. So left winger comes off, right winger, Gretz is on, right? So I always loved playing ahead of Gretz because I knew Dave Taylor would change first, and Luke and I'd be there. So Gretz would be out, and we'd play kind of a whole shift with him too.
Why would he extend his shifts?
He was extending his.
Oh, you were okay.
Yeah. We can hang in there.
So you getting a little lazy on the back check the first 30, 45 seconds of it, just making sure you're peeking over to the bench,
right.
Looking for your
just
opportunities.
Dave, you're not tired, bud? You got to get off. Gretz is waiting.
That's awesome. Another guy that we don't really get to hear a lot about is Marcel Dion.
Yeah.
And you know, if you could do a lot for our younger fan base in describing what made him so special as a player, maybe how he was off the ice in the locker room, because he's a little bit older than you, and I'm assuming a little bit more old school, given how the game was played even before you got there.
Yeah, big time old school, and I love Mars. And when I went there, when I get drafted, I think. You know, when you get drafted to a team, kids nowadays, first thing you do is you look at, you know, what do they got in their position, right? You never want to go to a Stanley Cup champion team because obviously they're full of talented players. So as far as I'm concerned, all they had was Marcel there. So when I get drafted there, I was happy because there was no one other than him that I couldn't do better than. So, but you get there, and like you said, Mars was about, I don't know if he was 5'7".
He was that small?
Oh, big time.
Wow. And
he was a little heavier set. Like right now, if you've seen Mars back then, you go, no, bullshit. You're not a hockey player. You're not an athlete, right? But he could skate and he could stick out. Like, I don't think you ever see him slap shot the puck, just skate and wrist shot. But it was, when you talk old school, if we were doing some skating at the end of practice or laps, Mars would be tight against the wall, just doing a little twirl there. You know, there was not much speed in his. There wasn't a lot of work ethic going on there. So he wasn't probably the best person for me growing up that I wanted to follow in his footsteps as far as working out and, you know, getting prepared for a game.
Post-practice pops?
Yeah. He could score goals and, you know, he was good.
And when you came into the league, it's so different now where rookies are kind of given such a big-time role on many teams, and they're not treated in a bad way by any veterans. It's just changed. But were there guys that were real hard on you that maybe didn't talk to you? Like you must have had to go through the ringer 1981 in terms of like keep your mouth shut, right?
Yeah, like it's so much different now. I think back then, like I said, there was 3 guys or maybe even 4 other than Mars knew that I'm coming to take your job.
Yeah.
And they knew that. And I say this to this day, it's so important for older people or older players to take care of the kids coming up. Like, I know you guys know when Sid went to Pittsburgh, he lived with Mario. You know, you need those people. Like Mike Murphy was great for me. Charlie Simmer was great for me. They kind of took me under their wing, right? Because a lot of times the other guys that you're in the same position, they want no part of you. And that part's tough, especially for a young kid, right? Because, you know, coming from a small town, you're leaving home, and then you got some guys that really aren't treating you kind of the way you're hoping you would be treated.
What was a rookie party like back then?
You know, ours, there wasn't much, not like now. You know,
every day was your rookie party in LA.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like, you know, when I was with the Kings in 12 and they won the cup, and every night, you know, someone put money up for goals and stuff, and they would have thousands of dollars for their year-end party and stuff, right? Like it was huge. They didn't really, you know, we had guys all over the place, older guys, just there wasn't a lot going on like that. And there was no rookie dinners back then. They shaved you. And they'd hit
which is the most bizarre thing ever. Well, who came up with the fact that they were going to shave guys' bushes at a certain point for initiation? It's like the weirdest thing.
Yeah, like that's all you want to see is.
I'd love the help with the maintenance.
A guy on the table, and you're holding him and you're shaving him. Who the hell wants to shave a guy? You know?
Yeah, who got stuck with that duty?
Yeah, I don't know who came up with that. I know. I get shaved twice, once in New Haven and once in LA, and I get cut both times with scissors, just up in here. And I find out later because Rick Chartrand, if you remember, Rick used to play for the Canadian. He was down there, and then he was up when I was up there. So I kind of figured out who it was. But Marcel Dion took a torch to Danny Bonner, like just shaped like his leg, like just dumb stuff that they would do back then that you could never even think about doing some of the stuff now that happened back then.
Well, and I'm sure you guys were having your fun before Wayne got there, and you might have already touched on it a little bit, but how much of a shock was it to all of a sudden you're his right-hand man, and you're probably getting to experience all these lifestyle changes and things that you would have never in a million years seen if he wouldn't have gotten there, and especially being from a small town like near Halliburton, and it's just like a world of difference. Like, what type of things were you doing with him where your jaw was dropped? And I mean, Playboy Mansion, maybe this, maybe that.
Yeah, you know what? The great thing when Gretz came, we may have had one or two reporters at our games at night, right? Now we're the show in town. We got all the celebrities coming. It's just the place to be. Our place went from 10,000 people a night to 16,000 sold out every night, and then on the road. You know, we go on the road. We used to go on the road and we'd play in front of empty buildings. Now we got, you know, we're the show now with Gretz, right? And I'm just his wingman. We just, everywhere we go, it's just a place to be. And the people that started coming around, all the celebs, like I said, and reporters, it's like, it used to be now like a playoff game, or when you're in Toronto or New York, that's what it was like after a game there. Now it's just a madhouse. And to me, and like I said, I got to experience that firsthand because I was with the guy that everybody was coming to see all the time. So I just got to watch that, and that was pretty special. Any
residuals from like brand deals or maybe cameos in a soap opera because of him?
Oh, yeah, for sure. Suits, free food.
Big Macs.
We used to get, now we get all that stuff, you know? So that was cool. We'd go everywhere. Any concerts or anything, we just walk in. It was really, it was great fun.
Was there an encounter with a famous person that you can recall that was pretty awesome? Like maybe an actor that you'd watched a ton that you ended up getting to run into at the rink?
Well, I get pictures here. Kevin Costner, Garth, John Candy. Like John used to come all the time, right? And God bless him. I just love that. I played golf with John a few times, traveled with him. There was nothing better than having John around. Tom Hanks would be there a lot. Like Bruce Manoa, that's the thing too, right? With Bruce and Gretz, they knew everybody. So Yeah, we had them all.
All right, before we go any further, here's a word from our sponsor, BetterHelp. More athletes are speaking out about the importance of mental health, but you don't have to be a pro to want to be at the top of your game. Everyone needs to take care of their mental well-being, whether you're an athlete or not, and therapy is the best way to stay in peak mental shape. If you're thinking of giving therapy a try, BetterHelp is a great option. And I know it's tough. Not everybody wants to ask for help. It can be tough. But if you need help, reach out, ask, because therapy is great. It'll help you out. And also, it's convenient, accessible, affordable, and entirely online. You get matched with a therapist after filling out a brief survey, and you can switch therapists at any time. When you're ready to feel at the top of your mental health game, therapy can get you there. Visit betterhelp.com/chiclets today to get 10% off your first month. That's BETTERHELP.com/chiclets. betterhelp.com/chiclets.
Yeah, so you were in LA during the Magic Lakers years. Were you checking out those games? Were you going up to the Forum Club with them after? Anything good from there?
Well, you know what? The great thing for us is, because my first couple of years I was single, so I would go out every Friday night. The Lakers played, and every Saturday night we played. So I would always go, and I could go anywhere I want in the Forum. So I'd go down the dressing room, and then where they walk out and stand, I'd walk out and stand with the usher right by the floor. So I used to watch all their games on Saturday or Friday, and then we play on Saturday. So I got to see the Lakers in the 80s. All the 80s were, and they were good. Yeah. So that was pretty cool.
Yeah, one of the best teams ever. Were you there for any of their titles? Like, did you see them win in person at all?
Oh yeah, I seen. I don't know if it was 85. I was there for a couple of them. Yeah. That was really cool.
Another teammate I want to mention, Tyga Williams. You play with most penalty minutes in NHL history. A couple seasons you played with 320 penalty minutes, 358 minutes. What was it like having a guy like that in the team? You know, you had your back for sure.
Yeah, and I played with Tiger. He was on my left side. Tiger speared me the first day in practice, and he said that was for the game in Detroit. And I'm thinking, what would I do to you in Detroit, right? But you know what? And I was talking about bow hunting, and because Tiger loves to hunt, and our dressing room in Culver City was like, it was only like 10 feet wide, or like it'd probably be 20 feet wide, real narrow. And I bring my bow to practice one day, and Tiger gets my bow, and he pulls, and I don't think he's going to do it. We got like this big exhaust thing at the end, and this Al Tour, you guys probably heard Al. He's bending over tying his skates, and Tiger lets his bow go. Oh my God. And it, honest to God, it wouldn't have missed Al's head by 6 inches, and planked right through the wall. And everybody looks at him going like, "Are you kidding me right now?" Because like everybody's bow, you get custom fitted for your bow, right? So I would shoot a bow that'd be different than you and different than Tiger, and he was good, but I mean, you don't do that, but Tiger does that, right? Like Tiger has no problem doing that. So one time I left a note, right? And it was my writing, but we always left our tickets after the game for the wives or girlfriends or whatever, or after morning skate. Well, I grabbed Tiger's tickets, and I wrote in there, "Thanks for last night in the bathroom," or something, because played back, and put in there, so Brenda got it, right?
Oh, jeez. Oh,
well,
Jesus. Oh, Jesus.
Pat Quinn was my coach, and I love Pat. Pat loved me, right? And every time anything happened, Pat, he would come to me because he knew I'd probably be the one that done it, but he came to me and he says, "Okay, I don't know what you did this time, but Tiger's going to kill you. So I'm just telling you right now," right? So, oh God, but Tiger, we got along great. I love Tiger, and he was different. He was tough. Like, he fought everybody, and he was dirty, but he had a place, and people loved him.
I feel like the pranks were just a lot more frequent back then. We talk about the few guys that really pull them off a lot now. Marc-Andre Fleury's name comes up quite a bit. Were you a prankster? And if you weren't, who were the guys on the team that were doing it quite a bit? And what were some of the things that were going on back then?
No, I was the one. What I used to do is I'd hide in guys' showers after pregame. So, before you take your nap. So, the first place you're going to is the bathroom, right? And I'd come out of that shower, and I had Marcel Dion jump one time, fall flat in his ass from the toilet. And just big guys like J.P. Kelly. I don't know if you remember him. He weighed about 225. He sat in the toilet and he's just screaming like this, you know. Scotty Stevens ran out of the bathroom and he's laying on his bed kicking his feet like a little kid. So, but my favorite story is, and I thought it was good until you guys interviewed Jeremy JR on his.
Oh yeah.
Oh, that was nice.
Where someone should have died. I had someone that probably should have died too. We were in training camp we always went to Vancouver training camp or Victoria. So they never ever had it in LA. But one night it's 12:30 in the morning and I'm rooming. There's two young French kids rooming beside me, right? So I look over and there's sliding glass doors open. So I jump over the balcony and I'm crawling in on my hands and knees and I'm looking and, well, there's no one in this first bed. And I'm thinking, okay, well, you know, they're two young French kids. I don't know, you know. So I crawl right to the foot of their bed and then I stand up and I scream. Two elderly ladies sit up in the bed and just start screaming.
Oh my God.
And I go, oh my fucking God. I went, oh God. So I run back out the window, right? And all they see is some guy, because they wouldn't see me come in, but just, they don't know if I'm Batman jumping out the window or gone, right? But these two kids got cut that day after practice, and they resold the room out to an elderly lady and her mom.
Oh no!
And like how they didn't have a heart attack, one of them or not, I don't know. But you know, talking to Pat, like remember Pat Quinn's my coach, right? And but I'm in my room and all I hear is banging on their door. The cops are called, everything, right? So next morning I go to practice and Mike Murphy was the assistant coach, and you know, Mike was my cat. I love Mike, and I told Mike. So we're sitting getting ready and Mike comes over and he says, look, Pat found out what you did and he's pissed, right? And I know you guys remember Pat Quinn. He was a big burly man, you know, like Pat intimidated the hell out of me, right? Like you remind him of my dad. So we're skating around in practice and Pat won't blow the whistle. He's just got a stick turned upside down and every now and then he'll just beat it on the ice, right? And then all of a sudden he blows the whistle and he just says, Nicholls, come here. So I go, oh shit, you know. So I come over, and he goes, what did you do, right? So now I got to tell Pat the story without laughing because it's tough to do, but he's got me nervous as it is, right? So I'm starting to explain it to Pat, and finally he broke down laughing because it actually was pretty funny. But he didn't want to be called in like 1:30 in the morning, be called up with the cops and stuff, right? So, but like I said, I thought that was the best until I heard JR's. But that was pretty cool.
So when you were playing in LA towards the end, is it true that you weren't really getting along with the head coach, Tom Webster? Is that?
Oh, yeah. So
you guys really butted heads. Do you think that was ultimately the demise of your time in LA?
I don't know if it was. Like, I know they needed, like, Gretz never had anybody, right? Like, he tried with Luke and Davey, and that just didn't work out. So I got them, which was great. So they definitely needed something. But, you know, Tom came in, and I think he honestly thought, like, he was Scotty Bowman or, like, he was the best ever, right? So when we played a game, and after the game, he came in and says, look, I want you guys to ride the bike before you go home, right? So I was one of the stars after the game. I was doing interviews and stuff, and so after I get dressed, I just left. So the next day at practice or whatever, you know, he's going to send me, so Nicholas, did you ride the bike after, like you're supposed to? And I said, I hadn't ridden a bike in 9 fucking years. Why would I ride one now, right? And that didn't go over very well. But that was part of it. But I don't know. We just, for some reason, we just didn't hit it off, and I don't know why.
And you had so many points the year you got traded. Like, it was one of your best years.
Yeah. I think at the end of the day, it came down to that they needed someone for Wayne, right? And I understood that. Obviously devastated that it was me, because like I said, I couldn't imagine what it'd be like to play with Gretz for another 4 or 5 years.
Yeah.
But he got, Tony Granato and Thomas Sandstrom, and they played with Gretz, and obviously it was good for Wayne for sure.
And a bit of a kick in the dick, considering you just bought a house in LA 3 months prior. You bought a nice mansion.
Oh, like always.
I went to Bruce McNaugh, right? And I just signed a contract with them. And I said, Bruce, I want to stay. What do you think? He said, I'll never trade you, right? And sure shit, 3 months later, I get traded. But before I signed that contract, right? So after that year, and I was really close with Bruce. Bruce gave me a Jaguar car. He gave me gold. He gave me some shares and some horses. Like, Bruce just loved me, and he was great. And so after I scored my 70 goals, I was up for a contract, right? So Bruce calls me and he says, what are you looking for? And so it ended up, it was like 5 years for $750 a year, right? So he says, okay. So Rogie Vachon's our GM. He says, well, you got to go tell Rogie what you want, and then he'll come to me and I'll okay it, right? So Rogie calls me and says, because Bruce said, fire your agent. We'll just do it. So I said, great, right?
Yeah,
save
save
some money.
a few bucks.
Yeah. So, so Rogie says, what do you want? I said, well, I want like $750 a year. I want it for 5 years. And he go, oh God, no. Bruce will never go for that. I said, well, Rogie, that's what I want. Well, I know he won't go for it. He said, but I'll go talk to him and then I'll get back to you. Right. So like a day later or something, Rogie calls me. He goes, okay, I just want you to know I went to battle for you. I worked them, and then I got the $750 for 5 years for you. And I said, okay, thanks, Rogie.
Yeah, thanks for everything.
Yeah.
Like he was
He
fucking
didn't know
Wayne
I'd
sliding
already
your passes
deal.
over back door or something for crying
He
out
was
loud.
probably trying to get
Yeah.
Bruce to give you a little less, too. He's like,
Yeah, no kid.
Well, you brought it up, the horse thing. You're huge into horses, correct?
Yes, love the track.
You and we should hook you up with Portnoy. What is it about the track? You're just a little bit of a degenerate gambler, or what?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes.
Like, if
Merle's
someone
is rubbing
gave-
himself.
Oh yeah, he's stroking himself.
My new favorite player.
Yeah. If someone gave me like 10 grand to say, okay, you can go gamble anywhere you want, I'd go to the racetrack. And because like when I first went to LA, right? Chris McCarron, probably
Yeah.
arguably Boston
Guy, yeah.
top 3 in the world ever as a jockey. Sandy Hawley from Canada, they were in the penalty box. So I got to know them real well. So I'd go to the racetrack, and I would even go game days, which I may have gotten in trouble for. But I mean, I would go there, and I'd go right to the jockey's room, and I'd ask them what they like. I'd ask Chris, what do you like that day? And I'd check it off my program. So, I loved the horse racing.
Yeah, Chris McCarron, he's a Dorchester guy. I actually went to the same high school as him a few years before me. But
Yeah.
I want to go back to the trade. You actually got traded the night before the All-Star game. So you got traded from the West to the East, but you stayed in the West for the All-Star game. So you were playing against your teammates, Leachy and Richter, correct?
That's right. It was after the skills competition. I'm just walking out, and I run into Mike Vernon. And Mike goes, I heard you were traded. And I went, what are you talking about, traded?
That's who told you?
Yeah, Mike Vernon. So then I go look for Bruce, right? Like, no. I go, Bruce, what's going on? Yeah, we just traded to New York. And I wanted to say, but do you not remember the conversation we had about that house I just bought for $1 million? But I was, oh God, I was just devastated. But yeah, the next day I stayed in the West and played against Richter and Leachy, 2 obviously great players.
Well, and having to leave Gretzky in LA, where you obviously loved it, had the great relationship with everyone. At least it was a big time market with the New York Rangers, right? Like after the shock of being dealt, you must have been like, all right, well, this is pretty sick. I'm going to Manhattan.
That's right.
Nice.
You know, when players like to have the opportunity to play in New York, like I said, to get traded was devastating, but to go play Madison Square Gardens, there's, I guess if you had your choice, other than somewhere in Canada, I guess, but Madison Square Gardens pretty cool. That was a fun 2 years in New York. Like to play MSG. It was a great place to play.
And, you had Roger Nielsen for a coach again. Did you get along well with him? He seemed to be a real player's coach back in the day.
Yeah, I got along great with Raj. I had him in LA for just a little bit, and then I had him in New York. Like, no one worked harder at the game than Raj. I think Roger's only downfall would be probably he would never put three good players together. And I think that's what happened with Messier when Mess got there. He would always put you two skilled players, but then he'd have a checker or somebody there instead of having, three good offensive players together. And power play, like he'd cut it in half. He wouldn't want you, spending the two minutes like I was used to in LA, right? You played the whole thing. So that was the only problem I think Roger had. But boy, he worked hard at the game. There'd be times you'd come to the rink and he'd be sleeping on the couch. He was there all night.
Yeah, that's kind of what I was going to ask. When he passed away, I heard so many people mention it was almost like the NFL coach mentality where he was the hardest working coach. I was going to ask you kind of what you meant by that, but I guess you just answered it in terms of all-nighters and always being at the rink. And
he was the first one that ever did videos, right?
Oh, really?
Yeah, that's the first time ever seen videos and stuff, and he'd go over games the next day. Roger really worked hard at it, and he was really good at his craft for sure.
Were the players receptive to him wheeling in the video? And you guys,
like, what the fuck?
I was like,
what's this VHS?
What the fuck is this shit?
That's right. Yeah, going over things. Yeah, I don't think the guys were real thrilled at first with that because most of it was all your mistakes you made, right? Like there wasn't too many. Hey, that's a great play there, bud. Good job. No, it was where the hell were you when this guy scored? That was your guy.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There was one thing we kind of glanced over. So you were born pigeon-toed, and it really affected your skating stride, and you had to obviously work at that through growing up and figuring out how to work through that adversity.
Yeah, I used to wear braces to bed with my feet like that. So moving around like that at night with these braces on, let's just say I'm going to go with that part. Why I wasn't like the Connor McDavid out there.
Yeah.
I got there, and once I got there, I could do what I needed to do. It just took me a while to get there sometimes.
Yeah, you were like Forrest Gump until junior, then you just bust out of the shackles and fucking light the whole league up. 1,200 points later. That a boy, Forrest.
When you were at the Rangers, were you playing on the same line with Mike Gartner?
I did. I played with Mike and Troy Millette.
Oh, wow.
No disrespect to Troy Millette.
No, well, like you were just saying about Roger.
Mike and I, so Mike could score goals, and he was fast. Whew.
Yeah, one of the more I talk about Marcel, another underrated guy. 700 goals, and you don't hear his name as much as you probably would expect to. And then, of course, the other big trade, you one game into the 91-92 season off to Edmonton in the big Messier trade. You weren't too happy about that one either. I know your wife was pregnant with twins and she was bedridden, and they suspended you and withheld your pay. You think that's something, if it happened today, they would handle it completely different given the way the world's changed since then?
Oh, absolutely. And same thing, Neil Smith. So I'm traded there. Wife's having twins, and I say to Neil, look, I want to buy a place, right? Like having kids, it's not. Yes, I'll never trade you, right? So I got a mortgage in California for $900 or for $9,000, one in New York for $7,500, and same thing. We just play in Boston. And I get a call 7 a.m. from Roger, and you're half asleep, but I'm not expecting what he's about to tell me either. I go upstairs and says, you were traded to Edmonton for Mark Messier. So once again, I would have loved to play with Mark. I tell people this day, by far Mark Messier would be my fiercest competitor. I had him Edmonton, LA. We playoffs a couple times. Just to me, there's no one better at that position. Fierce, mean, just than Mark. And I would have loved to have the opportunity to play with Mark, but now I'm off to Edmonton, you know. But I always say to people too, as a Canadian boy, you got to play in Canada somewhere. And my time in Edmonton was awesome. First team we played that year in the playoffs was LA, and we knocked them off with Gretz, Curry, half the old Oiler teams in LA, and we knocked them off. So that was pretty cool.
Yes, I was a young hockey player, and it's not like today where there's Twitter or you can actually watch the games on TV. So I had to watch players basically on hockey cards. And I always will remember you and your like funky skate combinations. Microns with blue blades, some black on black. What was that all about? Did you think about it, or just that's how the skates came?
Okay, so here's how, I don't know how to put this one, but so we're playing the Oilers, right? First round when I'm in LA. Well, they all got the blue tuck blades, right? So Gretz is wearing, I got to wear it. So I get my trainers to paint mine gold, right, for the Kings. So I'm skating around with gold. And but when I got to Edmonton, blue, I like the blue colored ones on there rather than just white. I thought that was a lot neater, I guess, or cooler.
So you're tipping the trainers pretty good to keep changing them in and out for you.
That's right. Yeah.
You must have been getting it from guys on the ice back then about making your tux gold.
Yeah. I'm not sure what they were thinking. Yeah. I'm not sure. I know Mars wasn't real thrilled with it. Mars was so old school, and some of the stuff I'd wear to games as far as clothes and stuff, he wanted to find me every day because of what I was wearing.
One of your other teammates in Edmonton, Issa Tikkanen, got to ask about him. This guy, we haven't had him on the show yet, but just an absolute beauty, character, all kinds of words describe this guy.
Yeah, I got to play with Tick in Edmonton, and he was awesome. And my favorite story with Tick is when he got traded to New Jersey, and Jacques Lemaire's the coach, old school. Tick's in the back of the bus. He's yelling, "Where's the beer?" Like he wants beer on the bus stuff, because the Oilers, they had anything they wanted there, but New Jersey was a little different. He's looking for beer in the dressing room, and they're on a road trip or something. They got a bus, and Tick's looking for beer. So, but he was different, but he was pretty good. I enjoyed Tick.
And you end up back in New Jersey in the metropolitan area, right? And that team you had in 93, 94, the amazing series, and unfortunately it didn't go your guys' way. But I always wondered, because you hear about the Messier guarantee before Game 6. You guys are back home, you can close them out. What did your room say when you saw the front of the New York Post, "We will win tonight"? You guys all saying "fuck him"? Like, what was the approach going into this game when all this pressure's now on him and the Rangers?
Yeah, I don't think that really bothered us, because I think we knew, just like what Mark was saying. Mark was saying that more or less for his team, that, we're good enough, we're going to win this game, which every captain should, even though a lot of them wouldn't, but Mark would. We still felt we were going to win. And to this day, I always tell people, to me, that was my favorite series I ever played in, even though we never won. Playing in New York, New Jersey, that rivalry. 3 games went into overtime. First game went into overtime. We won that one. Game 7, double overtime. We actually, in Game 6, we're up 2-0. And I say this day, Billy Guerin's, he's a rookie, right? And it's late in the second period, and we're making a change. Billy's just lollygagging over the red line. He's going to dump it in. Everybody's changing. Well, he turns it over, and they go down 3-on-1. Kovalov, Messier, I don't know who the other one is, but Kovalov scores. And I still say to this day, we go into the third period, we're up 2-0 with Marty Brodeur and Stevens and Nima. The defense that we could play, it was over. But that goal just so turned the tide on us. And then Mess had some fun in the last. He scored early in the third, and it may have been Marty's worst goal of his career. Like, Mark comes down on his forehand on his off wing, but he just backhanded to the net, and Marty missed it. And
it was on the ice too. I remember that.
Oh, it was terrible. And
I'm sure Billy G will love listening to this podcast with you throw him under the bus.
Yeah. And well, he ended up getting one or two, but yeah. So if you would ask Marty, worst goal that was ever scored on it, that would be it. And but Marty was amazing, and what a pleasure it was to play with him.
Now, Jacques Lemay had taken over as coach at the beginning of the season. Did you have to change your game quite a bit because of the style that Jacques played?
No, actually, Jacques taught you a lot of defense, which was fine. But Jacques had some offense too. And what I loved about Jacques, because we were both centermen, is Jacques had the centerman facing the puck. No matter where the puck was, he wanted the centerman there to get the puck. He always knew probably the best puck handlers of the team would be your centerman, but he would have you mirror the puck everywhere it went, always. So I got along great with Jacques. He wouldn't they played great defense. The defenseman would be harder because he would never let them pinch. He would never, unless 1,000%. If you're not getting the puck, you're not going. So he kind of handcuffed the defense a little bit, but definitely not me.
Now, at the end of the season, you were, I think, 33, 34. You're a free agent. Did you want to stay in New Jersey? No, they were pretty much a contender after all this time. What was the circumstances there that led you to Chicago? Sorry.
Yeah, looking back, I wish I kind of would have stayed there. Chicago offered me $1 million to go there. So I took it.
You had all those mortgages.
Holy shit. Yeah, you're a landlord now. You had to figure out your shit.
That's right. Yeah. Then ended up buying an apartment in the John Hancock building in the 89th floor. So of all the places, that was still it. But probably the best place, my favorite place to play was Chicago, with Chelios, Suter, Roenick, Joe Murphy, Amani, Eddie Balfour. Like, I always say to people, like, obviously Gretz, I couldn't imagine with Billy. If I could play with one player my whole career, it'd be Chris Chelios. Yeah. Like, Chris' work ethic, like I said, I never worked out ever until I get to Chicago. And, I'm 10 years in the league, I'd be maybe 13 years in the league. And, we're doing push-ups and sit-ups in the sauna every day. No one worked harder than Chris, and I wish I had him when I first started.
Yeah, I'm sure that's why you love playing with him, because he had you doing push-up pyramids. How many fucking pops were you having after a game? I heard he is one of the biggest machines. We talk about Lyle Odeline is probably one of the most post-game pops kind of guy, but it must have just been a blast hanging out with Chelly on the town and ripping it up. It probably brought you back a little bit younger.
Well, he had his own bar too, right? So after every game, we'd go to Chelly's Chili Bar. But one great thing about Chris, and this is what I mean by there's no one, I'd put him against any person in the league as far as working out, this and that. And I even had to tell Drew Doughty this one time. Like, no one went harder than Chris after the game, right? He would be the first player on the ice the next day and work the hardest. Every time. If he was out, you'd know if Chris was out, because not that he didn't do it all the time, because he always worked hard in practice, but he would be the first player on the ice, and no one worked harder ever. And I tried to tell Drew Doughty that one time, right? Because Drew would go out and have a drink or two. I say, okay, bud, look, if you're going to play here, and I need you first on the ice, and I need you to be the hardest working player, So that was Chris to a T. And for any kid that liked to play and go out and have a drink or two, you want to hang with Chris.
What was Doughty's response when you said that to him?
Well, he kind of looked at me, but I can do that. So Drew was tough.
And you were there with Jeremy Roenick when he was like in full bloom young guy. He must have been out of control back then, huh? I mean, he still kind of is, but way back then.
No, he still is. Yeah, I got JR 2 years in Chicago there, and he was such a fun guy to play with. What a great talent he is too. But JR, no one could Chris kind of ran Chicago, right? JR, he tried, but no one, like, he'd come in on his motorcycle, come into practice on his motorcycle and stuff. No helmet, just freewheeling. That's JR.
And then your last pit stop, San Jose Sharks, you signed there as a free agent. You got back Daryl Sutter again. You had him a few different times. So what was it like being back in California, but a much different scenario in San Jose instead of LA?
Yeah, like I had Daryl in Chicago, which was great, and then San Jose. I love Northern California. It's really nice up there. But yeah, to get Daryl the second time up there with not quite the same team. But I always said, like, anybody knows Daryl Sutter or any of the Sutter as far as that goes. There's no one wound tighter than Daryl. And I even told Granato, right? Because Tony and I both had him in San Jose. In LA, like, the amount of thought that goes into, like, no one works harder. Like, no one's more prepared than Daryl with anything. And I told Tony that. I said, he's on video, this and that, and he's calling bullshit on me, right? Because when you go into a game, right, there's always the game sheet with both teams on it, right? And it tells you a little bit about every player, right? So I don't know if I've ever read one. I'm pretty sure you didn't.
I always check the game notes, bud.
Yeah, just check our stats. Okay, good. But we'd be playing a team, right? And Daryl says, hey, this kid that's up, what do you know about him? And there's not a chance in hell anybody know anything, right?
There's no
Daryl would
internet.
know everything about him. He'd know his mom and dad, where he grew up, where he went to school, what he had for breakfast. Like, he is so prepared for everybody, every team he plays. And that's all I say with Daryl. You'll never play a team that's more prepared than Daryl's team or works harder either. So I enjoyed it.
You're like, Daryl, what the fuck do I need to know about where this guy's from in order to line up and fucking toe drag him and put one top cheese on his goalie here and give him a dash?
Yeah.
You got anything else, Merles?
No, that was it. I had a lot on that LA. I really enjoyed that. And I know you ran the power play and you finally got your Stanley Cup with them. Can you tell us a little about that?
Yeah, that was awesome. I was back home and I'd called LA different times because I watched their team and their power play sucked. And I thought they had a good team. And I'd call and I talked to Dean, and then he gave me Terry Murray, and Terry said, I think I don't know, it should be a full-time thing. I don't know, whatever, right? So he gets fired. Daryl gets hired at Christmas time. So I called Daryl and I said, Daryl, look, your power play sucks. I just want to come in and help, right? Like, even when I was calling Dean and Terry, I wasn't coming in looking for a job, just a former player. You know the guy. I just want to help, right? So I said to Daryl, look, I'd like to help. He said, absolutely. He said, he said, come on in. It was January 3rd. I went in. They had like a 9-game homestand or something. So we worked on it. And so that was up. I said, okay, what do you want me to do now? Well, we're going on the road. Never been on the road with the team. Going to come on the road. We go Calgary, Edmonton, Vancouver. We win, and we tie. So I said, okay, what do you want me to do now? He says, I want you to stay. I said, okay. So it was fun. Like, just being around that side of it was fun. And the thing is, I hung with the guys more, right? Than the coaches. I never hung with coaches. I'd hang with the guys. But Daryl knew that, right? Daryl knew, because Daryl could be hard at times, but he knew that when he was done kicking your ass, I'd come by and just pat you and say, bud, it's okay. We're good here, and Daryl knew that. We worked really well together like that, because Daryl can be hard on them, as we all know, but we got along great, and it was just such a fun ride, right?
How'd you fix the power play? You just told him to shoot?
Give it to Doughty.
Well, just some movement, right? Like, I'm watching it, and you'd have Kopitar on the side, and Drew would be right here, and so I'd say to Drew, bud, look, you got to find a quiet spot, right? Like, you got to move, and you watch great power plays today that it's puck movement and player movement, right? You just don't. It's not like back in the day where Gretz is just camped out in the side there and picking spots, right? So there's so much more puck movement, player movement, just hitting the quiet areas, right? So it was great. It was so much fun.
Yeah, we talk about that quite often, especially with Colorado, and just how they're able to adapt and constantly change positions on the fly, knowing what the defense is really providing them. And yeah, it's exceptional. I mean, you got to have a sick power play if you want to win a cup. But boys, this has been awesome. I don't know if you had any more.
I think that was it. I just want to wish you a happy early birthday. I see your birthday's 2 days out, and I wish you good luck.
A couple clicks for the birthday here.
Good.
Well, you know what? My fiance got me tickets. We're going to New York. We're leaving tomorrow to go to Yankee game. I'm a Yankees fan. So we're heading to New York to a Yankee game.
Nice.
So
He's going to stay at his old spot.
Still
You never got to enjoy it.
And good luck on the track as well. Oh, man, just want to give Bernie another huge thank you for joining us a few weeks back. Great guy, great interview. Hopefully you enjoyed it. Also, too, I got to try some beer, man. He was talking about how good beer meat is. I hadn't eaten it before, so I got to give that a whirl. But want to let you know that his interview is also brought to you by Sport Clips. How long has it been since you had your last haircut? Well, it might be time to head to Sport Clips. They've just developed a brand new, super relaxing signature scent on their perfectly steamed hot towel. It's been formulated specifically to bring the relaxation of the MVP haircut experience up to another level. It's something that you have to smell to believe. Make sure when you go in that you ask your stylist for the MVP experience. Not only will you get to try the new scent, but you'll get the 7-point massaging shampoo as well. Smell like an MVP. Sport Clips, the pros in men's hair. All right, boys, gonna wrap it up. Episode 406. We'll be back with the boys next week. Like we said, episode 407. Back on the saddle. Can't wait to get the season started, but we're not done with Biz Does the Coast yet, Cornelli. Part 3 dropping tomorrow night, correct?
The final episode of Biz Does the Coast drops on Wednesday, 8 p.m. on our YouTube channel. Busy Boys return to Wheeling. What a night it was. A lot of stuff happened that night. I won't dive too much into it, but it was an unbelievable video. KB No Swag and Nick Tarini from the Yak from Barstool Sports, they joined us as well. So it's one of the funniest videos we've ever made. We also have a sandbagger coming next week as well with Matt Molson and Kyle Okposo. So that'll drop on Wednesday as well. And then the boys are back. The boys are back after that. So we are very excited and tons of content on the Chiclets YouTube channel. Like we always say, just subscribe, like, comment, the whole 9 yards.
Absolutely. Merle's between the whistles there. We were just talking about what's the House of the Dragon. That's what it's called. Everyone keeps calling it Game of Thrones, but you've been watching this House of the Dragon show?
Yeah, it's one good thing about being over here in Europe. It doesn't come on Sunday night, so you're not getting pulled by the wife or the girlfriend to watch it during football. It doesn't come on until Monday here. So we have our Monday night routine. So we just got done watching it. That was an interesting episode, to say the least. I don't want to say any spoilers or anything, but
we can give spoilers. We'll give the warning now. We're talking Game of Thrones here, though. The spoilers are coming. The incest was fucked up. It just blows my mind how they always find a way to weasel that in there with the incest. But oh my God, what an episode once again. That Damon is just he's a wild card. You never know what's coming with him.
Yeah, Matt Smith. He's got that look too. Like he played he's in The Crown. He played Prince Philip in The Crown, and that guy was an asshole. Matt Smith plays a perfect asshole. He's just got that look about him where he plays a good dick. But yeah, the scene when the cousin there, I literally was like, I was getting the willies. I grabbed my phone, I went to IMDb to the cast, and I hit that girl's thing, and I was like, oh, good, she's 22 years old. I was like, because she's playing like a fucking little kid in it. Practically, they do make her look like she's fucking 12 or whatever. But fortunately, she was of age. Obviously, she has to be to film the scene. But yeah, man, I mean, I think that they base a lot of the plot on how the world used to be, which is pretty fucking sick and twisted during the medieval era or whatever George Martin based his books on. But yeah, there's definitely some crazy scenes. But I like last night's episode because I think they could overdo it with the action too much. Like, you can't have a dragon firefight every week. You can't have a battle every week. You gotta move the story along. And last night, some of the quieter moments were well acted. I mean, Paddy Considine, he's a tremendous actor. I thought it was great, man. And I'll tell you what I also like, boys. I know we're so used to binging shows nowadays, one after the other. I like the week to week stuff and build up the drama, build up the suspense. Me too. Instead of, and you got to be careful. Like, spoiler alert, don't go on fucking Twitter if you haven't watched your episode yet. And that's how I learned my lesson. Game of Thrones, end of season 1. You know what happens, right? Somebody gets lopped off. I had no idea. I saw it on Twitter, so I knew it was happening. It kind of a huge star. No one thought he was going to get fucking off for a season. That's when I learned my lesson. Don't go on Twitter until you've watched Game of Thrones / House of Dragon, because somebody's going to spoil it right away.
Yeah, especially in like the meme game these days, like at any time it's going to be used. I couldn't help but think when the guy's laying there hung over when he comes in there, I was like, that's how I feel after every Chiclets trip when I get home to Sweden. I come crawling in there. So
this is wild. I just got a text from Ryan Whitney, not on the group text either, an individual text from Ryan Whitney. And I don't know where he is. It looks like he's someone's house. It's a poster of the Towering Inferno, one of the classic 70s disaster movies starring Paul Newman and Steve McQueen, asking me if is this good, RA? So I'm going to reply back to him in a minute. It's a 70s movie. It's the 70s disaster movie. It probably hasn't aged well, but these things were huge back in the day, man. They would spend all kinds of big budget, special effects at the time that no one ever seen. But what's interesting about this movie, if you look at the poster, I actually wrote a blog about it last year. Steve McQueen and Paul Newman, right? Two of the biggest studs in Hollywood history. They were two huge stars with requisite egos. Well, they had an argument about whose name was going to be higher in the billing. Like when the credits come out, who's going to go first, who's going to go second. So if you look at the poster, I mean, I could show you here. They compromise it, and they have Steve McQueen on one side lower, and they have Newman on the other side up higher. So they had to do it so neither one of them could complain because they were two of the biggest stars in the world in the same movie, and they had to have a big fucking pissing match over who was going to have their name higher in the credits. So probably boring the shit out of people listening to it talking about 70s movies, but just kind of funny to get that from Whit.
I've heard the name many, many times, but if you showed me a million pictures of Steve McQueen, I would have no fucking clue who that guy is. I have no clue what he looks like. I don't know any movies he's been in. Give me a little background on this guy. Like, who is he? What big movies was he in? Because I have no fucking idea.
Steve McQueen's most famous movie is probably Bullet. I think it was a cop or a private eye in San Francisco. It has one of the most iconic movie chases of all time. Through the hills and streets of San Francisco. I mean, you could probably just YouTube the chase itself. Tremendous stunt work they did. He was in The Great Escape. A few other movies he did. I can't think off the top of my head. He died in 1980. He died of cancer. But he was a legendary fucking partier, coxman, horn dog. Don't leave your girl in the room with fucking Steve McQueen, dude, because he was a man's man, macho, handsome, rugged, and yeah, he had cancer. Fucking got it. I think lung cancer in the 70s. He died in 1980. And there's a Stone. This is how big of a dog fucking Steve McQueen was. There's a Stones lyric. They use him in a Stones lyric. A Stones song called Star Star. It's actually called Star Fucker. It's about people who fuck stars, basically. And there's a lyric, and it's because he used to be married to Ally McGraw. And it's Ally McGraw got mad at you for giving head to Steve McQueen. That's how legendary Steve McQueen is, that the Stones would write his fucking name into their song lyrics. So just an OG legend of the game. So yeah, Steve McQueen. Also, did you see Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, the Quentin Tarantino one?
I have, yes.
Yeah.
Well, what's his face? God, I'm fucking drawing a blank. Damian Lewis, the guy who was in Homeland in the Band of Brothers, who played the head dude. I'm fucking brain dead today. He played Steve McQueen in the movie Once Upon a Time in Hollywood. He's had the wig on and stuff. So yeah, a Hollywood legend, man. Steve McQueen. I doff my cap to you. But all right, boys.
All right, one more quick thing before we wrap up.
Fire away.
Big Deal Brewing, guys. It's coming. It's coming. It's going to be here before you know it. Go to your liquor stores. Go to your beer store. Go to your liquor store. Wherever you get your beer, go there, request Big Deal Brewing. Get it on the shelves, because that's how it's going to happen.
I can't wait, dude. I can't wait. I'm going to have 17 cases of it here. Sorry, Merle.
Talking about coming soon is the NHL season. So as we're talking about these movies, I like to give a little advice to our younger listeners. You guys, you got a girlfriend or a wife, start watching your shows this week, next week, because once hockey season comes, you're going to be down in the man cave. Build up those points, build up that credit now. So when this NHL season hits, you can watch the games every night.
Yeah. I'll just get another TV too. Nowadays, it's great though. Between phones and tablets and laptops, you can bang out 6 games at a time. But all right, gang. Well, I hope you enjoyed Bernie Nicholls and the little chat we had today. But again, the boys are back in town next week. Can't wait to rock and roll. Get ready to kick the season off. So have a fantastic week, everybody, and we'll see you soon.